Hey everybody, Boat here in Amigos Studios, and tonight I thought I'd film a little arcade machine project I've got working on. Tonight I am going to replace this 8-way joystick with a new 4-way joystick. I'm also going to be replacing the add credit button with a different kind of micro switch. If you are well versed in arcade repair, this is probably not going to be too terribly interesting and new for you, but if you don't know much about arcade machines and would like to see the inside of control panel and how the joysticks work, this is the video for you. The first thing I have to do is open up the control panel itself. Now this is different on every machine. On this machine, which is a Dynamo Z-back style cabinet, what you do is you open up the door like so, and then up inside of this thing, and it's dark in there so you can't see it, there are two latches. So I'm going to hit the latches up underneath the control panel to make it pop off. Okay, so the latches have been deployed. So this control panel will actually, this is tough to do with one hand, it actually slides out. I'm gonna have to come back for this one. Okay, so the latches have been taken off. So this thing will now just swing open, like so. And you can see a couple different things inside. The first thing is this USB, I think it's called an iPack. And it is just basically a small circuit board that is converts USB to arcade controls. So you have your wires coming from each button in each direction of the stick going into this board, which then translates it to USB for the PC inside this main cabinet. Now, you can see the underside of each one of these buttons has a micro switch. Buttons, when pressed, they activate the white switch on top, and the joystick, whatever direction you're going in, also activate a switch. Now, this is an 8-way stick, which means it registers diagonally as well as the cardinal 4 directions, which is great if you're playing Street Fighter, less so if you're playing Pac-Man or many other classic arcade games. So we're going to swap that out for a different kind of stick, a 4-way stick. And we're also going to swap out this button right here for a wider button that I'm going to, and a shorter button that I'm going to affix a coin to coin up the machine. Now when you get a joystick in the mail, it's not going to come fully assembled. It has these different parts. And so all joysticks fit together pretty much the same way. You take the shaft and you put it in the washer like this, one-handed, hard to do when you're holding the camera. Okay, there we go. Then you put the first thing on there like that, and then you take the base of the stick and you plunk all of that down there like that, and then you stick this on there and then put that thing on the end. These are the technical terms. I cannot do that one-handed. This is what the joystick looks like when it's assembled. However, do not assemble the joystick completely using this last final piece, because you need to mount it in the cabinet first. If not, you will need tools like this to get that piece off. Do not ask me how I know about that. Now we have to go about taking off the old joystick. It's very important that you write down the color codes for your wires. This is a little bit difficult to do because many things are going to be backwards of what they seem. For example, pushing left on the stick activates this switch, which is on the right side in this case, so it's backwards. Also, down or pushing up on the stick activates this, but this is labeled up, which is confusing. I did not do that, and yeah. So make sure that if you have a stick that is set up right, take note of what goes where on a piece of paper. Then disconnect the wires, disconnect these nuts, and re-bolt the bottom part of your new stick in. Okay, so we have used a socket screwdriver to get the nuts off the joystick. And if we lift up, oh no, we're stuck. We're stuck because that hole is not big enough for the stick to get through. They did that on purpose. So you will need those special tools that I told you about earlier to take this, whatever you call this thing, off. This little thing that keeps everything together. So have that nearby. You will need it. Another thing that's interesting is that these screws are actually flush with the control panel, and they do not move. They are one with the control panel. So, but most joysticks are kind of standard compliance when it comes to spacing and things like that. And the holes are, you get a little bit of give in there. So it's nothing to be worried about, I hope. After much turmoil and heartache, we have removed the C-clamp from the 8-way stick and have removed it from the control panel. So now it's time to mount the new stick and hopefully put the wires back in the right place. Okay, the new stick is now mounted in position. The only thing left is that dreaded C-clamp. I recommend using a ball-peen hammer to just give it a couple taps and hopefully it will snap into place. Okay, the C-clamp is on. Disregard my previous comments about the ball-peen hammer. A much better tool is the needle nose pliers. Vertically squeeze, goes on like a champ. Now let's get this thing wired up. Okay, we are all wired up. I've decided not to replace my insert credit button after all because of the way that it's mounted in the board. It's just too much trouble. I am going to re-glue gun the coin back on top of it though. But we're going to give this thing a shot and see if it works. Okay, it's time for the moment of truth. I have queued up Mr. Do, fan favorite of the Amigos, and hit the player 1. Let's see how we do. Left works, up works, right works, down works. I call that success. All right, well folks, that's going to do it. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time on Amigos Arcade Adventures.